Chosen one, you are here by divine appointment, not coincidence. Heaven has aligned this moment because your spirit is standing at the edge of a supernatural shift. What you are about to hear is not just insight about your mother, but a revelation that unlocks your next level, your healing, and even your divine wealth transfer, anointed one. God is touching the places in you that have been overlooked, misunderstood, or buried for years. This is your Kairos moment, the turning of the page. Open up your heart. Let your spirit rise because what's coming next is the start of your big break. Before we go any further, I want you to fully understand this. Everything in your story has been planned. From the timing to the pain, to the questions, to the way you found this message. Heaven slowly pushed, pulled, and lined you up until your spirit arrived right here on the edge of revelation, healing, and divine elevation. And I say this as someone who has been in their own shadows. Someone who used to carry questions that couldn't be put into words. It drove me crazy some nights that the people who were supposed to love me couldn't hold me. Why affection felt like it was earned instead of given. Why I didn't always feel safe at home. And why it felt dangerous to be seen. If that strikes a chord with you, chosen one, then pay close attention. This path is holy, and you are not the only one on it. You won't start getting better in the place where everything made sense. The story starts where things didn't happen. Many of us were raised by moms who were carrying storms they never named. These were women who were still kids at heart, but were expected to be parents. There were women who loved in broken ways because of wounds they never got the chance to heal. They did hold us, but sometimes they couldn't make room for us. They gave us food, but sometimes they couldn't give us food for our souls. Their love was on the edge because of the hurt they had not dealt with. So, chosen one, you changed because of that. You learned to make yourself smaller so that other people could feel at ease. You learned to guess how people would feel before they spoke. You learned to stay alive by being quiet, careful, and hard to see. You found out that if you needed too much, you were taking too many risks. You kept yourself safe by disappearing into your own life, which is the only way a child knows how. But even then, even in those early years when love felt conditional and affection felt unstable, inside you something holy stayed whole, something the world couldn't touch, a knowing, a whisper, or a divine mark. Because you weren't made to live on small amounts of love because the one who is love made you. The pain inside you has always been bigger than your experiences. That's why you wanted something more substantial, secure, and complete. You never saw your longing as a sign that something was wrong with you. It was proof that you were being called by something bigger, chosen one. Many people have been wondering what's wrong with me for a long time. But it was never your question to answer. What you asked was not right. What's wrong with me was never the question. Someone asked me what went wrong and why I thought it was my job to fix it. And let me speak this over you as a prophet. You were never told to save your mom. You were sent to show how to be saved. Some of the most powerful chosen ones in the world grew up in homes where being touched rarely and not feeling safe emotionally wasn't a given. This doesn't mean you can't win. It gives you a mark. It shapes you for a reason. Heaven often hides its most powerful warriors in the strangest places. This is because as a child you learn how to spot danger, read emotional currents, and ease someone else's pain, which gives you spiritual discernment that becomes a supernatural weapon. It's happened to me. The instincts that used to keep me quiet were the ones God used to teach me how to hear Him, read rooms, keep other people safe, and see beyond the surface. This is what people call a trauma response. Heaven called it a training ground and picked for you. The same is true for you. You weren't left behind. You learned by being in the fire. And now hear this. Heaven didn't forget about your tears. Heaven saw every quiet pain, every lonely night. And every time you wished she could see you, Heaven wrote down. Heaven saw your need and has been working on your healing for a long time. Even before you knew it. That's why you've always felt different from other people. That's why you've always had a sensitive side that other people didn't get. Why have you always been drawn to healing truth and deeper meaning? Because your calling was formed in a place that tried to shut it down. Then the Anointed One from heaven changed your story. It's time for you to move on from the past and become your own person again. Your authority is shaped by it. The wounds that used to make you weaker are now giving you wisdom that makes you stronger. What was meant to break you is now giving God a reason to build His plans on also. Yes, this process does feel bad. You can feel the ground moving under your feet. That, however, is a sign that change is happening. You're not fighting your past anymore. You are fighting with the part of you that learned how to make it through it. You are being asked to join a higher, more authentic identity, one that heaven has always wanted you to be a part of. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. And before we go any further, before we dig deeper into your story and find the way to heal, I need you to take a moment to receive this truth. You are not here to carry the pain that made you come into the world. It's not what you're here to do. Take a deep breath. That's enough for now. What we're about to do will change the way you always think about your past. As we go further on this path, chosen one, I want you to understand something that most people avoid their whole lives. Healing doesn't start when the hurt from the past goes away. When you finally admit that the past has been talking to you even after the events have passed, you can start to heal. The loudest wounds aren't always the ones that were said out loud. Those are the ones that resound in silence. As they become adults, many chosen ones think they have moved on just because they are older, have moved out, or have started their own life. A mother who feels alone does not become quiet with age. Though it takes time to get rid of emotional programming. Being far away doesn't change patterns that were programmed into your brain when you were too young to understand what was going on. Because of this, this part of your healing feels so holy, private, and painfully exact. You aren't arguing with your mom anymore. You are facing the version of yourself that was shaped by the wounds she didn't heal. This is the spiritual part of healing. This is where healing turns into a sign. This is where heaven starts to change who you are from the inside out, chosen one. But the truth is that your mother may not have talked in years, but her voice lived on in you. It turned into a whisper that told you not to demand too much. It turned into a warning that told you happiness was dangerous. It turned into pressure that told you to shrink down so no one would feel threatened. It turned into fear which told you to be quiet and keep the peace. These choices were not made on purpose. They were responses that helped people stay alive, that were formed in a home where being emotionally still felt safer than being emotionally honest. You put your own needs aside, but something in your spirit wouldn't die even when you did. It stayed awake. It stayed alert. It didn't change. Being sensitive is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of someone that heaven has been making since the beginning. You learned how to feel changes in the air. You learned how to tell how people felt in a room before they even spoke. You knew how to be wise before you even knew the word for it. It used to feel like fear, but now it's more like spiritual intuition. What at the time seemed like excessive vigilance is now becoming prophetic sight. This is why your call feels heavy. That's why your feelings are so strong. This is why you seem to have more empathy than the people around you. You didn't show too much emotion. The spiritual wiring in you was set. You didn't understand how you were being trained. Now, heaven is turning what used to feel like a burden into a supernatural skill. Before you can rise to that higher identity, though, you have to face the inner vows that kept you stuck in an old self. Every chosen person finds out about these hidden vows. The agreements they made as kids but didn't say out loud. Agreements like, I won't be happier than she was. I won't grow out of the story she stayed stuck in. If I shine too brightly, she'll feel small. If I heal, it will show her wounds. Chosen one. These agreements were never loved. They were about survival. And that's not what you have to do. At one point in my life, I was afraid of joy. It wasn't that joy wasn't there. It was that joy felt risky, like crossing a line that was deeply etched in my soul. I thought that getting over the pain of my childhood meant leaving the people who helped shape me. So, I turned down the lights. I kept myself half healed, half present, and half alive. During one of the quietest times of prayer, God spoke in a whisper something that broke years of emotional ties. Your happiness doesn't make them look bad. Your happiness saves them. Those words tore something in me apart. The lie that saying more was a betrayal. The lie that healing made people separate. The lie that being free meant being unfaithful. I speak this over you with the same divine power, chosen one. You were never meant to tell the same story as your mom. To get past it. You were meant to. She is still there after you heal her. Your healing makes her better. The way you heal does what she couldn't do. When you heal, what she couldn't break is broken. Your healing is the chance for your family to be saved that they have been waiting for. The enemy wants you to think that getting better makes you not thankful for what you have. But heaven says something different. Honoring the people who came before you means getting whole. You are not in this world to be a timid version of yourself. So that we can remember someone who never learned how to be free. You're here to show them the freedom they never had the tools to get. This is where the divine shift starts. When you quit seeing yourself as a reflection of your mom's pain and begin to see yourself as a reflection of God's promise, things change. You become someone else. You feel different emotions. Your hopes and dreams change. Your sight changes. All of a sudden, the limits you used to accept start to feel strange. You start to let go of the guilt you were feeling. No longer does the silence you used to use to protect yourself fit the person you are becoming. You have been chosen, and now is the time to change. This is where the internal war starts to lose its strength. This is where heaven changes the story from the inside out. At this point, you stop living to keep other people from being disappointed and start living to complete God's plan for your life. Take a deep breath. Take this truth to the very core of your being. You're not turning into your mom. As God's chosen one, you are becoming who He always meant you to be. Once you realize that the wounds you carry are not just memories from childhood, healing can really change your life. They've turned into internal structures that shape how you think, feel, and act in the world. What happened around you years ago has been going on inside you for years. This is where the real work starts. Not at the top of your story, but at the bottom. A lot of people who grew up with a mother who was hurt by her own past got tension instead of tenderness as an emotional gift. Not safety, but stay alive. What a mother didn't learn how to name a child picks up. You took in her silence. You took on her fear. You took on her shame. And as you did that, you started to create an inner world that wasn't made for living, but for lasting, but chosen one. The identity that got you through hard times is not the identity that will help you get better. This is the holy dilemma of every soul. It is marked by heaven but shaped by human flaws. Born into a story you didn't choose. Raised in a time of emotions you couldn't change and taught how to react in ways that were never meant to become your normal way of being. Still, the voice inside you did not belong to you for years. It was part of the patterns you got from your parents. There's a voice saying, "Ask for nothing." This is the voice that says joy is dangerous. That voice that tells you don't shine brighter than her, or if you do well you'll lose love, is not the Holy Spirit. It's what you need to survive. And while survival is necessary, sometimes it's too much when your spirit is ready to rise. To heal at this level you have to be honest, not about your mother but about yourself. About how you learned to fade away so she wouldn't feel too much. About how you stifled your happiness so she wouldn't feel too small. About the dreams you put off because you thought they would separate you from her, and about how you doubted your own worthiness because she couldn't confirm what she had never received. This is the hidden cost of having a childhood shaped by mothers who aren't healed. The persistent idea that love has to be earned, deserved, or negotiated. But let me tell you the truth. You are hearing from heaven right now. You didn't turn into your mom. You turned into the child who learned how to handle her pain. Now God wants you to change into something completely different. The healed grown-up she never got the chance to be. Right now is the exact time when healing moves from thinking about feelings to changing spiritually. God starts to break down the habits you thought were personality traits. He shows you the fear you thought was humility, the peace you thought was silence, and the guilt you thought was loyalty. Your younger self is urged by Him to let go and let your spirit take charge. I remember going through this change myself. I realized I was afraid of happiness at a quiet out of the blue moment. Not because I couldn't find joy, but because it felt dirty and even dangerous, like going beyond the emotional limit of my upbringing would betray the people who raised me. It took me years to figure out this one truth. We often stay half-healed because we want to honor the people who loved us only as much as they could. God spoke to me in a whisper during the quiet prayer time that broke a chain inside me. Your happiness doesn't make her look bad. Your happiness saves her, chosen one. You don't have to stay small to finish your mother's unfinished story. She is still there after you heal her. It raises her up. Your growth doesn't show her you're lying. What broke her is broken. Your freedom doesn't leave her. It finishes what she never had the strength to do. This is why the emotional battle inside you has been so tough. There are two worlds pulling at you. The one you were born into and the one you are called to build. You want to protect her like a child. God is calling you to honor her in the only way that really does, which is to rise as an adult. Don't repeat her pain. Every chosen one comes to a point where they have to make a choice. Will I carry the weight of her wounds or the promise God made to me? You don't have to judge this choice. It's about letting go for both of you because you don't heal from your mother when you heal. You get better for your mom. You become the life that her pain couldn't make. You bring her clarity when she couldn't get it herself. You make her whole again when she couldn't find it in herself. You are the answer to the prayer she never knew how to say. As soon as you accept this truth, the shame that has been following you starts to fall off. The guilt that was getting in the way of your happiness starts to fade. The voice that told people to be small starts to fade. A steadier voice, soft, quiet, and clear, takes its place. It is the voice of your Creator reminding you that you were always meant to rise. You, chosen one, don't have to change to heal. It's about becoming the person you were before the world changed you. You're starting to remember, too. Chosen one. At some point in your healing journey, the past will no longer seem like a distant memory. It will start to rise inside you like a heavy weight that you can't ignore. At this point, the healing process changes from understanding to letting go, from remembering to giving up, and from surviving to changing. Many of the chosen ones start to understand that the loads they've been carrying for years were never theirs to carry in the first place. You felt like you owned your mother's feelings, her silence, her sadness, and her storms. You thought this was love for a long time. Now though, you can see clearly for the first time, and you know that what used to protect you needs to be undone. You were shaped by roles you never chose for a long time. You kept the peace, understood how people felt, and were the invisible rock in a home that expected more from you than a child should ever give. You learned to read people's moods before they spoke, to be quiet so that others wouldn't get louder, and to turn down the light so that her shadows wouldn't get bigger. You were too aware of your feelings all the time, and thought that if you were perfect enough, quiet enough, or helpful enough, you could earn the love you never really got. But if you want to heal, you have to look at these patterns with truth, not blame. You were never meant to protect, comfort, or heal your mother without her saying a word. Even though it hurts, the truth is that you were meant to be her child. This truth opens the door to emotional freedom. Something inside you finally wakes up when you realize that love never asked you to disappear. You start to feel less guilty about wanting happiness. She starts to feel less afraid of becoming more than she was. Being small wasn't devotion. You start to see that your goal was to survive, but now God is calling you to become who you are. You made an emotional promise as a child not to outgrow her, not to shine too brightly, not to be too happy or too free. This change is uncomfortable because it forces you to face those promises for the first time. The vows you made when you were young became chains that shackled your spirit. Getting better means breaking those chains. I remember a time in my own journey when I realized I was afraid of being happy because it made me feel like I had been betrayed. I thought that rising meant leaving the people I cared about. But God spoke to me in a way that changed the course of my healing. Your healing doesn't make her look bad. Your healing sets her legacy free. I am now speaking this truth over you. To become whole, you don't have to turn your back on your mother. It means not taking on her wounds. It means that you want to be the one in your family tree who changes things. It means giving God the chance to fix what trauma changed. As you heal, more memories and feelings may come back to you, not to hurt you, but to set you free. This is not going backwards. We are being saved. What you're feeling is the end of years of emotional work, silence, and restraint. For the first time in decades, your soul is letting out a breath. When grief comes up, it doesn't flood you. It comes to make room for happiness. When sadness shows up, it doesn't come to take away your peace. It comes to bring back the parts of you that you left behind. God is pulling you out of something that never belonged to you. This is the holy unraveling. You will meet a part of yourself that you haven't seen in years. As this falls apart, are you that doesn't fear breathing? Are you that talks without shaking? Are you that shines without saying sorry? Are you that doesn't mistake being emotionally worn out for love anymore? You've been this way before. This is the person you were before you changed because of survival. The you that God always meant to bring back. Now is the time, chosen one, to say, this ends with me. Not with anger, but with wisdom. Instead of rebelling, they rose from the dead. Not in turning them down, but in showing them. Your healing marks a turning point in your family history. Your wholeness turns into a prayer. People in your family never learned how to pray. The fact that you are free shows that God has put a mantle over your life. A mantle that breaks cycles instead of keeping them going. You have the right to go beyond your mom's emotional limit. You don't have to feel guilty about being happy. You have the right to a peaceful life even though she never did. You can reach a level of wholeness that she couldn't. Being healed is not betrayal. Your healing is what will save your bloodline. Now, as this truth sinks deeper into your being, your journey changes from undoing the past to becoming the future. You will know when it happens because the atmosphere in your life starts to change in ways you can't dismiss. At first, it's not very noticeable. It's almost like a soft pull inside, a quiet call to pay attention, breathe, and slow down. Then, it gets stronger until the message can't be ignored. Heaven will lead you away from the noise. Every part of you starts to pull away from things that used to feel familiar. The conversations that used to be fun become less interesting. The places that used to make you feel energized now drain you in ways you can't explain. You try to get rid of it. You try to follow along. But your spirit tells you, not here. Not anymore. This isn't burnout. This is moving on spiritually. It's the start of a divine separation that wasn't planned by your logic, but by your fate. What you think of as discomfort is actually alignment. What you think of as confusion is really just more clarity. Your spirit and body are just getting used to a higher frequency. The separation is strange and even painful at times because you have to let go of parts of yourself that you worked so hard to create. You have grown up though, chosen one. Your life is no longer based on survival. You are now living the life that was meant to be lived for a reason. Relationships change slowly during this time of year. People you used to trust now seem far away. People who used to get you don't get your sudden need for space or your silence anymore. But this isn't being turned down. This is getting better. Heaven is cutting off your ties with other people, not to separate you, but to keep the seed inside you safe. You can't mess up what God put inside you. Even the fact that you don't want to explain yourself is divine. Some people can and should figure out how you evolved, but not everyone can. Growth often looks like retreat to the chosen one who stays the same. You might feel the pain of being apart, the slow loss of comfort, and the grief of letting go. But this grief is holy. This is the kind of grief that comes with change, not loss. It feels like your spirit is shedding old layers, habits, and ties that are getting in the way of your calling. You're not avoiding people because you're proud of yourself. You are moving toward your destiny because you choose to. The people you walk with in the next season need to be spiritually aligned, not just related by history. Your inner world gets louder as you follow the pull inward. When you start to listen, you start to hear thoughts, desires, and truths that you used to shut down for the sake of peace. All of a sudden, your own voice is a revelation. You realize how much of yourself you kept hidden just to keep relationships going that were never meant to last. It hurts to be apart. Yes, but the clarity it brings is worth a lot. You start to understand who was linked to your soul and who was just linked to your presence. Over time, the fear of being alone changes into the beauty of being in sync. Your house turns back into a safe place for you. Every breath you take is a prayer. Your thoughts are what you offer. In quiet places, you start to meet the kind of person you prayed for. The version that isn't shaped by what other people want, but by what God wants. The one where your spirit doesn't have to shrink to fit in rooms that are too small for it. The version that brings peace so deeply that chaos can't get in without being seen. Chosen one. Your inner world is getting better while everything else around you is being moved around. This shift is not a mistake. Focus, sensitivity, and a pure spirit are needed to get ready for a divine assignment. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says, this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Heaven can't put you in a public position until you are stable in private. And being quiet, giving up, and being apart brings stability. That's why God is making you turn around. Not to hide you, but to shape you without getting in the way. You're being fixed up from the inside out. There will be times when you miss the things you left behind. Sometimes memories come back to you with a warm feeling. And sometimes being alone feels heavier than you thought it would. But even then, you're held by something deeper and being aware that you are being led. No matter what, God's hand is always on your shoulder. Your spirit knows things that your emotions can't say yet. This space is needed for what you are becoming. You will feel a new kind of strength coming out in this holy place. It's not the kind of strength that makes you work through being tired or force yourself to be okay, but the strength that comes from being still. How being strong means letting God speak first. Taking your time with the process has made you stronger. You are learning how to trust God's timing instead of human deadlines. It's possible to love yourself without losing who you are. You are learning that peace doesn't just sit there. It's a sign from God. And as the days go by, you'll start to catch glimpses of the new path making itself under your feet. Small connections, confirmations you didn't expect, a change in your wants, a new ability to hear, a new hunger for the truth, and a sharper awareness of what drains and feeds you. These things show that the separation is becoming stronger. Your spirit is getting lighter, which means you can carry something heavier, something holy. Dear chosen one, you're not leaving life. You are walking toward what you need to do. The break is not a side trip. It leads to the door. And even though the path seems narrow, it is full of beauty. You are being made ready to go where your old self couldn't go. You are getting ready to say things that your old voice couldn't do. You are being made better so that you can wear a hat that your old self couldn't handle. Don't worry. This breakup is not the end of your story. It is what you are becoming. That's right, chosen one. On the other side is the life that heaven planned for you before you even took your first breath. After a while of healing, the battlefield is no longer the place where you grew up, but the inside of your own mind. The old voices, the fears that won't go away, and the deeply ingrained habits. Just because you're older doesn't mean they go away. They stick around like shadows, coming out when you're not paying attention and telling you stories that don't belong to you. Still, you know deep down that those stories are losing their power. You know that the war is changing because you are changing. No longer is healing just an idea. It's changing the way you breathe, pick, and rise. As you go deeper into this change, you start to see how your responses to the world have changed. The things that used to send you spiraling now feel like echoes that you can listen to without getting caught in. When it comes to your relationships, the wounds that used to control them now feel like signs of how far you've come. This is the hidden proof that you rose from the dead inside. You're not the same person you used to be. Heaven sees it right away, but the rest of the world might not. The spirit world reacts to each quiet step you take toward freedom. Every time you set a limit, you choose peace over chaos. These choices turn into statements. I'm not what pain tried to change me into. I am a part of purpose. But chosen one, there is another level that many people miss. Not only do you have to face what was done to you, but also what you learn to do to yourself to stay alive. You learn to shut down your wants. You learn to be less present. You learn to say sorry for being alive. It takes time to break these habits because they were formed in places where safety meant being invisible. Now that God has made you bigger, being invisible is no longer a shield but a wall. Your light is no longer a choice. No longer can you be silent about your voice. Your worth is no longer based on things. And you have to be patient with the parts of you that are still scared as you learn to believe that. Some days you'll feel like you can rewrite your whole story, and other days the weight of old habits will feel heavier than usual. Every day is holy. Both days are part of how things are going. It takes time to heal. It's built up. It goes in cycles. This is holy. You're getting rid of years of emotional junk that wasn't yours to carry. You're putting out stories that were written by hurt people trying to get through their own storms. Loss of hair is not a sign of weakness. It shows that your spirit doesn't want to stay stuck in old identities. Chosen one, as this healing goes deeper, you will also feel an unexpected change in your attitude toward gratitude. Not for the pain itself, but for how it helped you see things more clearly. Thank you for the strength you didn't know you had. Thank you for the deep understanding that lets you see other people through spiritual eyes. Thank you for the kindness that flows from you like a calm river that heals others just by being there. You weren't mean because of pain. It made you bigger. You were able to carry a level of love that you couldn't have built up in comfort. It made God trust you. Your ability to give up grows as your gratitude does. You start to let go of the need for answers, regrets, or closure. You start to understand that not all wounds are meant to be blamed on the person who caused them. The person who heals some wounds is meant to make them whole again. Giving up becomes your new strength. You need to stop forcing relationships that make you feel bad. Put down the search for approval that was never yours to earn. Stop arguing about how much you're worth with people who can't see you clearly. In its place, you align yourself with what is real, holy, and eternal. When these things are lined up, something powerful starts to happen. Your life starts to flow with the beat of heaven. All of a sudden, chances that seemed out of reach before start to come your way. Eventually, peace comes naturally instead of worry. It's safer to love than to fear. The purpose is louder than the pain. You start to feel like your steps are going with supernatural ease. It feels good to finally let go of the weight you've been carrying for years. This ease isn't a mistake. It comes from being in tune with yourself and being ready to face, let go of, and rise. This is proof that every brave act of faith is rewarded in heaven, chosen one. This time of healing isn't just about making up for the past. It's about getting ready for the future. They are making you into someone who can walk with authority, kindness, and clarity. Someone who can break generations of habits just by making a different choice. Someone who carries a mantle of healing that will last longer than you do. Your family has never had a healed ancestor like you. You are the answer to the prayer that your ancestors didn't know how to pray. You are farther along than you have ever been, but the journey isn't over yet. God is proud of you. There is no doubt that God is with you and your spirit is becoming the chosen one that you were always meant to be. You start to notice something you didn't expect as your healing goes deeper. The changes happening inside you start to have an effect on the world around you. Once familiar places feel strange all of a sudden. The conversations you used to have feel empty now. People you care about start to feel the change, even if they don't understand it. This is the quiet proof that your spirit is rising, that your life's frequency is shifting, and that heaven is getting ready to take you to a place where old patterns can't follow you. During this stage of healing, the deepest changes happen in ways that can't be seen. Your thinking starts to grow. Your inner dialogue gets kinder. You start to notice when you're about to fall back into old emotional patterns and stop yourself. You wait before you act. Take a deep breath before assuming. You show yourself kindness before you criticize yourself. These small changes add up to a lot. They show that you are skilled. There are signs that your spirit is taking over from your hurt child. There are signs that the generational patterns that are trying to hold on to you are losing power. However, chosen one, every step you take toward becoming a better version of yourself comes with a tension that you need to learn how to handle. This space is holy, but it's not comfortable. Not only are you unhappy with your old habits, but you also haven't fully accepted who you are now. The old skin is coming off, but the new skin is still being made. The real spiritual work takes place in this space between. You learn to trust God when things aren't clear. To walk when you're not sure and to give up when you don't know what to do next. It's in this tension that heaven starts to make you stronger. You can feel your spiritual senses getting stronger as you lean into growth. You start to see people for who they really are beyond what they say and into what they mean. Spiritual vibes can be felt before you even walk into a room. You can figure out hidden motives without being told. This isn't crazy talk. This is the awakening of discernment. This is heaven giving you the tools you need to make sure that familiar spirits with familiar faces don't ruin your next season. Chosen one, this is also the time of year when you start to take back control of your emotions. For a long time, your mother's wounds, fears, and ways of surviving shaped how you saw the world. Now though, you've decided to change the script. You choose to love without losing who you are, to feel without being overwhelmed and to stand without saying sorry. You are learning that it's possible to be strong and soft at the same time. Healing isn't about getting rid of pain and replacing it with perfection. It's about getting rid of fear and replacing it with the truth. And this is where you will start to feel a new kind of courage rising inside you. A bravery that doesn't roar but rests. You know what courage is when you don't ask for it. A bravery that keeps you steady when old wounds try to come back, reminding you, I'm not the same person I used to be. I'm turning into the person I was always meant to be. This courage becomes your shield, your guide, and your inner witness that the change is real. Something more important happens. As this courage grows stronger, you start to give yourself blessings. You start to believe in your own journey. You start to care about your heart. You no longer need permission to get better. You stop waiting for other people to notice how much you've grown. Don't wait for excuses that might never come. Instead, you accept yourself as you are. You are the one who changes things. You become living proof that it is possible to get better. Chosen one. You're not just getting better from your mom. You are healing up out and forward. You are now the ancestor who is no longer sick. In between generations, you are becoming the break. You are becoming the person that heaven trusts to change the history. And this rising is just the start. As you continue to move into this deeper level of healing, chosen one, you start to feel something very important awakening inside you. A clarity that seems both old and new at the same time. You start to understand that none of your pain was pointless. The wounds that seemed random at first now show themselves as thresholds. The silence that shaped you wasn't abandonment. It was a first step. And every second you spent looking for love made you better able to spot the love that lasts. It's not because it was easy that your story starts to make spiritual sense. Instead, it's because heaven has been redeeming every weak thread. You start to understand that healing is more than just getting over what happened. As this story unfolds, it means remembering who you were before the pain changed you. It is a holy act to return to the self that God always meant you to be. The self that has been buried for years by survival, silence, and emotional inheritance. As this memory grows, you feel a spiritual expansion inside you that tells you you are moving into the life you were always meant to live. You start to understand that the ways of feeling you were raised were never meant to be yours. You were meant to change them. As Anointed One, your feelings change in ways that surprise you. You notice that the places where you used to feel weak now feel stronger because you understand them better. It's not as strong to remember things that used to make you feel bad. You can recognize them without giving up. And maybe the deepest compassion starts to rise inside you. Not the kind that makes you give up your peace, but the kind that comes from being free. When you look at your mom, you don't see who's to blame. You see what's true. You see her humanity, her wounds, and her limits. Instead of feeling the same pain as her, you start to break free from it. This is the point where forgiveness changes from a duty to freedom. It's not okay to ignore what happened or act like the hurt you felt doesn't matter when you forgive. It frees you from carrying things that your spirit was never meant to carry. There's a reason you stop going over the events of your past. You matter more now than they did before. After years of giving up on yourself for other people, healing becomes the act of choosing yourself. Chosen One. As you feel this deeper freedom, a new strength starts to hold your spirit in place. You start to make different choices, picking places that will keep you calm, conversations that will feed your soul, and connections that will help you grow. Somehow, you start to trust the voice of God inside you more than the scars that you've been through. You don't feel bad when you say no. You can rest without being afraid. You set limits without saying sorry. Revolt is not what this is. This is the rising again. And as your identity becomes more stable, heaven speaks. There are new links. There is more clarity. There are new chances. As if the world itself has been waiting for you to become this person. The doors you used to have to knock on are now easy to open because you are not approaching them out of fear, but out of strength. Each step you take is proof that your healing is putting you in line with your destiny. At last, the Anointed One hope rises steadily, maturely, and without wavering. Not the weak hope of a child wanting to be saved, but the strong hope of a soul that has been healed and is ready to find its purpose. That should give you hope that the future won't be like the past. Hope that tells you that you were meant to be happy, peaceful, and whole. Hope that says your story is changing from one of hurt to one of wisdom. This hope is a sign that your healing is turning into your calling. You have been chosen. As this message comes to an end, take a moment to feel the truth sinking into your heart. You haven't been going through this healing by yourself. Heaven has been leading you, shaping you, and getting you ready for a time you could never have imagined in the past. What you went through didn't make you less valuable. It made you stronger. And now you're in your Kairos moment. The exact time that God planned for old wounds to lose their power and a supernatural transfer to start happening in your life. Anointed One, you are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry. When Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. When you step into this new world, emotional freedom turns into spiritual authority. Clarity turns into protection. And wholeness turns into your inheritance. Heaven isn't just giving you back what was taken away. Heaven is making what you carry bigger. Now is the time when your family tree changes, when grace changes what trauma claimed, and when you rise up not as the hurt child, but as the healed vessel God always meant you to be. So move forward slowly but with confidence. Always keep your heart safe. Stick to your limits and listen to the voice that has led you this far. God saw every tear and now opens doors that no amount of pain can close. Trust that things will work out as they should and that God's blessing is on your life. Let us know in the comments if this word moved you. Chosen one. You are also welcome here if you want to keep going on this path of healing and discovery. Don't forget that you were always chosen. Until next time, stay grounded and hopeful. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment. A place where divine abundance is not just a hope but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.